Coach Banks, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for your time. Hey, I'm just curious. Obviously, we know a lot about your top two guys, Lamont Wade, Jaquan Brisker, and Coach just talked about them. But what have you seen from some of the guys behind them so far during practice, camp, whatever you guys are calling this, run up to game day?
Yeah, it's been camp, brother. I'll tell you that, first of all. It's been good. We got a lot of good depth right now. I think Jonathan Sutherland is a guy that you guys are familiar with, played a lot of significant snaps for us last year. He's really picked up, right where he left off from last year. So we're excited about him. We have a JUCO product who's joined our family, Jair Brown, who's also made great strides in his short time here. But you can't forget about Trent Gordon. He's a guy that obviously is making a transition from corner to safety. He's done some good things. We obviously, loved him at corner and what he brought to the table that way. But moving inside, he's really starting to come on. So, and then you kind of round it up with Tyler Rudolph, who's also a young redshirt freshman for us that has showed some flashes in camp. So I think for me, this is the most depth that I've had since I've been here, and I'm really excited about having it.
Thomas Frank Carr.
Coach, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
Good. Slot corners come in all shapes and sizes, and that 11th player on the defense is kind of how I look at it, is how you use that is so different in every defense. Lamont seems like he's going to be the guy at that position again this year. How much does he bring to the slot in terms of versatility, and what sort of assignments are you comfortable with him taking on, knowing what offenses like to do at that position?
Yeah, well, that's the beauty with Lamont. He's kind of a Swiss Army knife, if you will. He brings a certain level of coverability, from his days of playing corner, but obviously playing on the back end at safety. He also possesses some physicality that maybe some corners wouldn't have. So, we think he's the ultimate nickel, to be quite honest with you, because of, again, the coverability, the physicality. He's super competitive, because as you mentioned early, that guy's on an island a lot of times. You require a lot of things from him. So, not only must he have physical traits, but he also needs to be able to think and adjust like a linebacker. So, we're going to take advantage of every skill set that he has, from pressuring with him, from covering with him, just getting him involved. So it's a critical piece to our defense, and it's one that he's embodied and, he's taken and run with it.
Tobias Wilborn, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette.
Yep, how are you?
Coach, I'm doing well, man. Good to see you as always, man. Well, when you hear about a program having issues with now the coach getting COVID, does that kind of reinforce just how serious this virus is? And do you go back and even further reinforce it to your players? And how do you go about sending that message?
Well, I think the good news is we've been very consistent with our messaging from day one. We've taken this thing very seriously. And it's not just lip service here. We talk about it every single day, the long-term impact that it has, not only on us personally, but as a program. So, Coach Franklin has been very upfront and vocal about it. And I think our kids understand it. And, they obviously want to have a season and is excited about the possibility of having a season. And now that it's here, we understand what's at stake. So everybody's trying to do their part and do the right things to make sure that, they can be out there and be safe and give us the best opportunity to perform.
Audrey Snyder, The Athletics.
Hey, Tim. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, no doubt. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Kind of looking across the field, we're all trying to figure out this receiving core and what some of the strengths are going to be and who's impressing. How have they looked to you, and how are some of those guys kind of shaping up? Are they challenging your guys? What have you seen?
Yeah, the guys are coming along. I'm excited about them. Jahan Dotson has been a staple. I've always been a fan of his, and, he has not disappointed in camp. And there's some young guys, some really young guys that have caught my attention from Parker. Parker's done a really good job. To be honest with you, I don't want to leave anybody out. I feel bad. But, all of those guys have shown flashes, during camp, to be quite honest. Dre has had a really good camp as a true freshman, coming in here. And, so I expect those guys to be good. I really do. I mean, they're super competitive. They're obviously well coached. You know, I love our receiver coach. He's done a great job. So I think those guys are really shocked some guys, and I think guys will be proud to watch them play this year.
Mark Wogenrich, SI.com.
Hey, Tim, could you just give us a look at the defense, what it has looked like in camp so far from your view in the back? Where do you think the strengths lie in this group?
Well, I mean, I think the leadership, I think we have really good leadership. When you talk about guys that have played and played at a high level, Shaka Toney, I think, has had a really good camp. I think you guys, we've already talked about Lamont Wade and Castro Fields, just the leadership on our side of the ball has been very impressive to me. They've done a great job of setting the example on how to work, how to go about your business from a preparation standpoint. So, we obviously know we have some really talented guys, but as you guys all know, it's working hard and playing to the standard and, treating every play like it's your last play is a mentality, and those guys are showing these young guys how to live it day in and day out.
Mark Brennan.
Hey, Tim, thanks for doing this tonight.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me.
Hey, I think this is your 5th season at Penn State, and that's your longest tenure, if I'm not mistaken, at any of the jobs that you've had. What has it meant to you to be able to develop that stability when it comes to developing players, recruiting, all of those things?
Well, it's been awesome, to be quite honest with you, and you're right. To have an opportunity to recruit a kid and and see him graduate, is always very fulfilling for me personally. So that's been great. And being at a place like Penn State and, and working with a guy like, James Franklin and the rest of our defensive staff, it makes it easy. I mean, this is one of the top jobs in the country. It's not a lot of places that I would leave to go to. So it's been awesome. Like I said, I enjoy the guys I work with. I enjoy our players and, having a chance to compete for, Big Ten championships has always been a goal of mine. And, we've been in the hunt, every year. So I'm excited to, make a run at that thing again this year.
2 more questions. Parthu Padek.
Yep. Good
Hey,
to
Coach,
see you.
thank you. Appreciate it. I was talking to Coach Franklin about this, but just a guy like Lamont Wade, him becoming a father 2 years ago, how has that helped him, mature and develop as a man, both on and off the football field?
Yeah, I think it's just like, for most people, you realize right away that it's not just about you, right? I think, human nature is, we're all, worried about ourselves and self-preservation. But when you have somebody that's counting on you and their mere survival is based on the decisions that you make, I think that does something to you. And you can kind of see it in Lamont. He's matured. He's not just talking it, but he's living it. And it's really bleeding to the rest of our unit and bleeding to our defense. So I think he has matured, and I think a lot of it is because of his son.
Last question, Tobias Wilborn.
Coach, with everything this year, what have you noticed what guys have been able to, I guess, pick up the best on, and what maybe have they struggled with that you can share comfortably as far as like picking up the defense and then just adjusting to actually making contact and everything else that comes with playing football?
Well, to be honest with you, it's been pretty good because, unfortunately, we couldn't practice physically, but, we've been some Zoom and Jessies now since day one. So, you really had an opportunity to dive into, not just the overall schematics of it, but the true details of every coverage, every front, every run fit, every pass fit. So, being able to do that and then now obviously going through camp and having a chance to physically walk through it and then run through it. So, the recall has been pretty good. It really has been. Now, obviously there's no substitute for physical, confrontations, but, our guys have worked really hard to put themselves in, the best physical shape they can be in. And, we're just excited about the journey. So, but I think just, going through all those Zooms, the mental aspect of the game is really paying dividends for these guys, particularly some of our veterans.